Welcome to the Local Marketing Source Weekly Update, brought to you by localmarketingsource.com. This update is taken from the Local Marketing Source Professional Development Program for local marketers.
This week's Local Marketing Update is brought to you by Scott Gallagher. Scott is the co-founder of Local Marketing Source and has become the recognized expert in providing online marketing services to local businesses. Follow Scott on Twitter @ScottGallagher5 and on Facebook.com/ScottPGallagher.
Scott Gallagher here with Local Marketing Source, bringing you our Local Marketing Weekly Industry Update. The live Q&A is going to follow the weekly update, and next week's faculty call is going to be Thursday. This week should have been on Wednesday. It's going to be next Wednesday. That would be August 15th at 4 p.m. Eastern. All right. We're just going through some of our customer lists today and old customers and pulling up sites that I'd never seen before. So I apologize for having that site up when we did a little bit of screen share. But nonetheless, that's not the industry we're in. We do cater to professional services. And having said that, before we get into our weekly update, I just wanted to have a little bit of disclosure, and we've got a variety of different people on the line. You know, we've been doing these weekly updates now for, I don't know, probably 3 months. And we started out with no listeners, and now our YouTube account on a weekly basis is consistently hitting 3,000 to 4,000 viewers, and we've got quite a few people on our podcasts and a nice audience. So I'd like to welcome all of our friends to this. And if you're new to this podcast or this weekly update, my name is Scott Gallagher, and I'm a co-founder of Local Marketing Source and founder of One Marketing. And One Marketing, because we have a lot of local business owners on the line, is an internet service provider catering to small and medium businesses. And one thing that we do provide is our online assessment. And this is something that's free. We spend an hour or so in researching your top keywords, researching some of your competitors, establishing your audience space and segmenting that audience, and defining a strategy to create that content to that audience. And we turn around and we give this to you. You put it in your hands. Of course, we also want to give you a proposal at the same time. But our objective is to earn the right to do business with you, demonstrate to you the type of business that you might be missing on the internet, and the opportunity that lies specific to your business in your specific area. So if you'd like to get this online assessment for your company, just go ahead and visit www.onemarketing.com. That's spelled W-O-N marketing.com. One Marketing, as in you're going to win the online race, because One Marketing customers are number one. Now, for our weekly update this week, you know, some of the theme, I'm getting into more and more conversations, and one of my greatest passions is really just to talk, really to learn and educate and speak and get on stages. And one thing that tends to resonate with people or my fans or listeners is that they say, Scott, you're just talking about marketing. You just make it so simple. It's just marketing. And sometimes that concept is hard to drive. Sometimes it's relatively easy. We could take, for example, we know that there's on-the-page and off-the-page factors to rank a website. We know that there might be 50 or 100 or 200 on-the-page factors, and we know that maybe 20% of those have a great weight in the ranking. Well, when we go and look at some of those, we can take, and say, well, the title tag is important. H1 tags are important. And we've got to make sure that we get our keywords and our title tags, and we've got to have unique title tags, and we've got to have unique content. And that's all in the SEO world. And when we could take the SEO layer off of what we need to do and put the marketing layer on top of it, it all starts to make sense. Well, what is the title? It's like a book. You can pick up a book, and if a book doesn't have a title, then nobody knows what the book is really going to be about. Well, the book is about a particular theme. A theme is a keyword. A keyword is what people tend to use. And so you talk about keyword research, and people say, Scott, I have a hard time doing keyword research for local businesses. And I go, blah, 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 this is why. And you can go and look at this tool and that tool, and the Google gives you this, blah, blah. Forget about that. Let's do keyword research the right way for the online world. You do it in the offline world. Go and grab a notepad. Go walk through your local mall. Hand them a little black device and say, this is a phone. If you had to look for a chiropractor on this phone, what would you do? And what would you type in? And you do that 100 times, and guess what? You're going to have a good idea of what people are looking for. Isn't that the objective of keyword research? Well, that would be called primary market research. And we know in our marketing books when we blow off the dust that primary market research yields much better data for the marketer as opposed to secondary research. Secondary research is getting data from third parties, other studies that have been done. Well, isn't that what keyword tools are? And not only are keyword tools secondary research, but they're biased secondary research of the fact that you're only working in the domain of that tool. So keyword research, well, we don't need to follow SEO strategies. We don't need to follow all that other stuff. Let's just follow marketing principles to give us the results that we want. On the page factors, same thing. Let's make a website that has value to a user. A title tag, well, let's make it unique and compelling to the user, just like the title of a book. Well, what about the H1 tag of a page? Isn't that like the title of a chapter? Doesn't it have a lot of the same themes, but maybe sub-themes of the main theme of the title? Well, it's the same concepts. It's marketing. So when we create the content that's relevant for the user, we in turn talk about and get and inject the appropriate keyword density ratio, right? Larry Page says, he said this in 1996, so quite some time ago, 16 years ago. Larry Page said, the perfect search engine, which doesn't exist today, by the way, 16 years later, the perfect search engine will know exactly with what you're looking for and deliver you exactly with what you want. Well, they're constantly trying to do that, and their algorithm is continually getting better and better at trying to achieve that. So back to the discussion. You know, Scott, it's just like it's marketing. Well, that's the online community. You can take two chiropractors in two geographical areas and market them completely differently, because one chiropractor may be focused on pain management and another chiropractor may be focused on wellness. One's reactive, one's proactive, one's white, one's black. They're opposites of each other in their own little world. So they're going to attract a very different audience in a very different place. The pain management individuals may want to market themselves to insurance companies and auto insurance accidents, build relationships with attorneys, maybe go into accident forums and create content and suggestions in the where people are that they are in pain. Go and build relationships with back specialists and whatnot. But the wellness chiropractor may be playing ball and creating content on the internet and distributing that content in a whole different world. They may be creating content and building relationships with, say, alternative medicine sites and different forums, yoga and acupuncture and massage. And so chiropractors that sit beside each other in the same strip mall, their online marketing or quote-unquote SEO efforts should, in theory, be very different. So why do people go out there and create articles in mass distribution and go and pay people on Fiverr? It's going to work today, and some of that stuff will continue to work tomorrow. But the fact of the matter is when we look at the trends of the search engines as they continually improve their algorithm, they are looking for the busy restaurants. Let's call it the busy restaurant syndrome. If you're getting reviews, if you're getting discussed in the social environment, if you're getting exposure in relevant areas, you're doing what old school businesses do. When I was at the gas station last night, the gas station attendant was telling me about this local sub shop. My partner told me about this local sub shop maybe 3 or 4 months ago. And we ate there, and it's the best sub I've ever had. When a local community starts talking about a local restaurant and saying, you should check this out, they get new business. They're already talking and plan for their second location and ready for and planning their third and their fourth. They're not even a year old. they've got the exposure on the internet. They've got 13 reviews on Yelp. They got more reviews than any of their sub-competitors around, including Subway and Jimmy John's. Well, that's what we're trying to replicate in the digital front. You want to encourage the reviews. You don't want to solicit them. You want to encourage an environment, and basically better businesses are going to survive and be better on the internet. Concepts of online reputation management, and how important that is. All right. Some news here on Android. This is relatively interesting for local marketers because market share is relevant in understanding where companies are going and what they're doing in the fight between Google and Apple in the local market space. Well, Android now has 68%. Excuse me one moment. I was mentioning, Android has 68% market share. iPhone down to 14 in the United States. It's 4 times difference. Big deal. 2 years ago, it was the other way around, wasn't it? It's pretty wild. We're chugging along on all cylinders. Android is doing very, very well. Albeit this is old news because it is now 6 days old, Google has just announced that the process for integrating your Google Plus local page or your Places page with the social Google Plus business page is now live. So you can get that verification process created. And this is great news for those who have already gone ahead that have created their Google Plus page and claimed it. When you do this, your business presence across Google Search, Maps, and Google Plus will be 100% unified. About time. All of this will continue to be managed from your Google Plus pages, and Google Places is almost completely on its way out. If you're ready to do this, you just go ahead and click on the Verify Now button on the right side of the page. You'll need to verify that you're representing the business. Of course, if you haven't had a postcard sent, you get that sent or verified via telephone. And this is only going to work for pages that have been created in the local businesses or places category. Okay, what else we got here? Webinars, Google Webinars. Once a month we talk about some of the upcoming Google Webinars. They have quite a bit now. Google is probably launching, I don't know, 10 or 15 webinars on a monthly basis, but I've looked through, pulled them out, what's relevant for you. Go to Google and do a Google search for Learn with Google Webinars. The very first listing is going to bring you to a list. You can sign up for the webinars. On August 28th, you'll want to check out Optimizing Your Video Ad Campaign. Whether you own a local small business or you provide services, go and check out Video Ad Campaigns. August 29th at 10 a.m., it is called Google Plus, Enhancing Marketing and Making Social Accountable for small and medium businesses. Now, a month later, September 19th, the importance of search advertising and filing on September 20th, measuring the impact of online advertising in offline sales. And I think they are going to be talking about different CRM tools and likely Google's CRM tool that they have available for small business. Now, there's some studies that are starting to come out. You know, what's the center of the universe on the internet? Some might say Facebook. Some might say Google. But let's not define it by a company. Just define it by a practice. like let's say search. And it's arguable that search is the center of the internet. When we need to default where we go, what we do, we go to a search engine. My home page is Google. But on mobile devices, that doesn't seem to be the case. So what's the center of the universe in the mobile internet world? And how is us as marketers, is this relevant? Well, apps are really important, right? 49% of people utilize apps as their center of the universe. 46% go to familiar sites and apps, and 15% use search. Doesn't mean that search is still not relevant. Now, when we start to break that down into industry, for example, in the travel industry, 24% use search engines and 43% use direct navigation. So in the travel market space for mobile marketing, app creation is relatively important. So is search presence. Automobiles, 37% for search. It gets greater. Restaurants, 33%. So about a third of consumers on smartphones are utilizing search. That does skew our numbers a little bit. It does take it down, but when you're talking 40% of the population have mobile and utilize mobile, and a third of that, that's still, what, 12%, 15% of the entire country's population? That's a big deal. Next question here is Google and Zagat. I mean, sometimes they do stuff that you just don't get. And the Zagat review system was so popular and so good, and I don't understand why Google really adopted it. It's on a 30-point scale and a 3-point scale. Have you ever tried rating anything on a 30-point or a 3-point scale? I mean, maybe it's because I'm very familiar with the metric system, unlike most Americans. And the metric system is so simple because it's all in tens, inches and feet and gallons and all that crap. It makes no sense. But everything's in tens. Scales and tens work very well. What about another world, the psychological aspect that we know that 10-step guides do really well? People like that stuff. 10 of anything, not 3 or 30. Well, there's tests going on in Google right now that the Zagat rating system is being dropped. It's not right across the board. It's not in every industry. It's not tied to geographical location. It seems to be random. It's being reported as of yesterday. Comes as no surprise. No big deal. They're going to be able to transfer stuff over at some facet, some way. Still, AdWords is still retaining the stars, but all right. Well, that seems to be it for our weekly update today. Now I'm going to go ahead and open the floor to some live questions.
That concludes this Local Marketing Weekly Update, brought to you by LocalMarketingSource.com. This update is provided from the Local Marketing Source Professional Development Program for local marketers. Visit LocalMarketingSource.com for additional resources focused on online marketing for local businesses.